Hi, so welcome back to Real Auto Reports right here at Real Auto Ranch. I'm Jonathan McGrew, and today we have the Real First Impressions video edition on the all-new 2015 BMW X4. We have the X-Drive version and the 3.5, which means we have the inline 6-cylinder, so we have a lot to talk about, so let's get started. All right, so from the front, you're going to notice that this vehicle looks a lot like an X6, and it's supposed to. It's just a smaller version. It's also very different from the X3 that's outgoing. It's a shorter, more squat vehicle, wider, more sport-like with the coupe styling that you'll see as we move around the side. In the front here, you'll see the typical double headlight setup with the eyebrow accent here that we've seen from BMW. Since it is in the CUV and SUV category, you have these larger kidney-shaped openings for the grille. Of course, your fog lights down here, your park assist, and because this has the M Sport package, you will see a different front end than you'll see on the regular X4s. This whole area down here with the sort of mesh design in this plastic grille is all different for the M Sport package. It gives you this different ground effects look. The other one will have more black plastic interspersed into this design and look less flared and less aggressive than you see here in our M Sport test vehicle. Let's take a look at the side and we'll show you some more design features out there. All right, so from the side you'll see that the designs in this X4, again, mimic the X6, just in a smaller package. Because we have the M Sport, you'll have a couple different features here that we'll point out as we go along. But so starting from the front, you'll notice that the highest part of this vehicle is here over the driver. This is that coupe-like roofline that we talk about that tapers quickly and tidies up also very quickly here in the back end. You have wrapping taillight design that comes into the vehicle, and you'll notice for the first time really in a BMW design, you have this split design in the side of the vehicle. So you have it lifting up from the arch here in the front with this little design detail that doesn't do a whole lot, it just sits there. And then you have this sculpted door line through the midline of the car and the door handles that peters out into the rear tail light and follows right about to this point before it splits into the curves of the tail light. Then you have this second line that dips down. So you can see it peters out here and it dips down here. That split is fairly new in the BMW design language. You also have M Sport wheels on this package. These are the smallest M Sport wheels you can get. The 19-inch, you can also get a 20-inch optional wheel. And the M Sport package will also add these color-keyed flared door sills underneath the doors, whereas on the regular X4, you're going to see those be a lot more curved under and subdued. It won't catch your eye as much. And they might even be in a flat black or something like that, as opposed to the color-keyed and flared coloring of the vehicle itself. The other thing the M Sport package gives you is this blacked out trim around the windows. It's the shadow trim as they call it, I believe. And then you'll notice that we also have options here like the keyless entry. So when you touch the doors, if I get close enough, let's see, there we go, now they lock. I tell you, I play with those all the time. You also have nice features like turn signals in the mirror. All in all, you can see though, this isn't a huge car, but it is about a half an inch, 0.6 inches longer than the outgoing X3, and it is more sporty looking and with the M Sport package more aggressive. Let's take a look at the back, see how it looks out there, and then we'll go inside and see this interesting ivory interior. All right, so from the rear here, you're going to notice, again, this really tight rear end design. There's not a lot of lip back here to the rear part of the vehicle. This is a solid hatch back here in the back of the vehicle. And then, of course, you have your glossy black trim down below, your integrated rear taillights that swoop around. It's a very nice and complementary design to the back of this vehicle. It doesn't look like an afterthought. I think they've done a nice job bringing the whole vehicle together in a fluid design and in a fluid motion. You also have your double tip tailpipes coming out over on the side and your park assist around the rear with your rear camera also here on the vehicle. You also have a power rear hatch option that you can get, and it'll make this a little bit more usable on a day-to-day basis. There's also an option for opening it by kicking under that we are not sure this vehicle has based on its newness in the fleet. We don't actually have a full option sheet on it, but you can get that option where you put your foot underneath the bottom just like on a Ford Escape and it will open the rear hatch. You can lock the doors from back here and close the rear hatch. Some other things that I like to point out though is it has some nice covers already built in here that are removable so that your packages aren't seen from the back window, which is nice and keeps it more secure. You also have the sliding load floor stabilizers back here where you can tie things together and adjust them up and down the rear tracks, which is really nice. And then a 40-20-40 split rear seat, which means the two sides go down where you sit, and then the armrest area, the middle seat if you will also fold down independently. And that is a nice feature, especially if you're going skiing or something like that. We do have the all-wheel drive option. That will give you flexibility for putting extra long things in this vehicle. And you can put an 84-inch long piece in this vehicle and put it up in between the seats. Yeah, you want to be careful not to damage that beautiful leather upholstery, but it is possible in a pinch, which makes this vehicle pretty flexible. Now, one of the things that is odd about it is I haven't figured out how to close the trunk with the key, but you can hit the button and close it, and you have to hold the rear interior. You have to hold the rear or the interior button on the driver's door to shut it from the inside, but you do have to hold it for it to close all the way. If you let go, it'll reopen, and that, they believe, is a safety feature. Let's go take a look at the interior, and then we'll see what powers this X4. All right, so from the driver's seat here inside the 2015 BMW X4, you're gonna find a nice set of interior finishes. And in this particular vehicle, we have the optional, some $1,400 or so optional dual tone interior. So we have this lovely off-white, sort of cream white interior with the red contrast stitching. A really nice package, gives it a nice feeling inside. You also have your, of course, leather wrapped steering wheel, paddle shifters, navigation system is optioned up in this vehicle. Now it is a smaller screen because, like the 2 Series, this is a lower end vehicle in the model family, so you have a much smaller screen than you do in even a 3 Series, and it's not a wide screen, it's pretty much a square box, and so it's not going to have as much of the split functionalities that you'll find in the 3, 5, and 7 Series as well as the 6 Series. You do have the 8-speed automatic transmission with the typical kind of trigger shifter over here, this little nubby thing with the park button, and all in all, you'll find all the creature comforts that you would expect to find in a BMW. With the M Sport package, we have the M steering wheel with all of its steering wheel controls, and we also have the M seats with the manual leg extensions, the memory seats, and the power bolsters to help fit you and keep you in the seat while you're driving in that, well, ultimate driving machine fashion. All in all, I like the interiors in these cars. I think they're functional. A lot of people have an issue with the entertainment system and the way it works. I think once you get used to it in the BMW, we've driven enough BMWs over the years that I know where to go and how to get to things, but it definitely does require you to get used to it and learn the system. So you'll want to do that if you're a new purchaser of a BMW. Now, let's go take a look at what powers this BMW X4, because we have the larger engine. All right, so under the hood, what you're gonna find is the inline 6-cylinder, 300 horsepower, twin-power turbo BMW power plant. Yes, this is the top motor in the X4 family. You can also get an inline 4-cylinder, also twin-turbo powered, and or twin-power turbo. I always get those backwards, but twin-power turbo, BMW speak, right? The 4-cylinder will have 240 horsepower, this 300. Now, even at 300 horsepower, the fuel economy is really good in this vehicle, especially with the sportiness and the 5.2 second 0 to 60 with the all-wheel drive system. 19 miles per gallon city, 27 highway, and a 22 mile per gallon combined. That's pretty good for a performance vehicle. In fact, it's right up there with other sports performance sedans. So it's not 40 miles per gallon highway like you'll find in the more economy cars, but definitely not bad for a vehicle carrying quite a bit of weight, over 4,000 pounds empty, and the performance aspect of the BMW experience. So we like this engine. It's mated to the 8-speed automatic transmission. Yes, you have the ability to shift it and use the paddle shifters. So it's going to be a fun experience, and you have variable power steering in this as well, coupled with the X-Drive all-wheel drive system, the stability control, and all of that comes with it. You can also get a sports suspension on these and all sorts of interesting bits and pieces in the option categories to make this a real dynamic ride. It is going to be on the stiffer side with the sports suspension and in general because it's a BMW, but it soaks up the bumps well, and well, we'll show you that as we hit the road. So let's go check it out. Hi, so welcome back. We are taking our first driving impressions. So as we pull out of Real Auto Ranch here, this vehicle, well, drives like a typical BMW really. It has that TwinPower Turbo 6-cylinder, well, rocket really for this kind of vehicle. As you can see, it'll really get going. From a first impressions driving perspective though, what I've noticed about these TwinPower Turbo setups in most of these BMWs with the 8-speed automatic transmission is that there is a fair bit of lag, and we can show you that here from a stop. That's down on the floor, and then you get what is lag. That is turbo lag, so that's where you really get into the turbo, even with this twin scroll turbo. And it seems to me that that is something that they're still trying to work on, that little lag, because you get that in a lot of different instances from a first impressions driving perspective. However, when it comes to actually driving this vehicle, the variable steering is very nice. It's well weighted. It weights up and down appropriately. From a first impressions perspective, it's easy to drive this X4. The X4 seems like a bigger vehicle than maybe it should, but it is smaller than the X6. It drives well. It drives on the heavier side around the corners on a first impressions perspective, but that is because it's carrying a fair amount of weight, and with the extra M Sport rims we have on this and tires and so forth, you're going to notice a little bit of different driving impressions depending on how you have it wheeled and tired. All in all though, the suspension is firm like you would expect in a BMW, but it still seems to dampen the grooves and the bumps in the pavement. But if you hit a real wallop of a pothole, you're going to notice, because it is on that stiffer side for a more flat handling experience. All in all though, it's the BMW driving experience most people would expect, and it even has auto stop start technology on it. That is, well, not really working right now because we are trying to cool the cabin here on this sunny day. However, it is there and it will work for you and help you improve your fuel economy. From a first impressions driving perspective, it's worth a look for sure, and we'll have the real wrap-up coming up next. So that's the Real First Impressions video edition on the 2015 BMW X4. This is the smaller version to its cousin car, the X6, and it's going to be a slightly cheaper vehicle as well, slotting in along with the other vehicles under the 3 Series, like the 2 Series and so on and so forth. This is a pretty interesting vehicle in that it is that sporty crossover market that it's going after, and at a base starting price for this inline 6-cylinder of about $48,000, it's, well, BMW expensive and BMW priced, but it also has the BMW performance with the 300 horsepower coming from the TwinPower Turbo setup, 8-speed automatic transmission, decent fuel economy with 27 miles per gallon highway, 19 miles per gallon city, and a 22 mile per gallon combined rating from the EPA. 0 to 60 comes in a brisk 5.2 seconds out of this sport activity vehicle, as they like to call them, or the crossover activity vehicle even. You have the upgraded M Sport package on this vehicle, including the ivory white leather interior with the cross contrast stitching in the bright red. It makes for a nice package with this red exterior. Now, this is a small car inside, and it's going to be a little bit tight for your rear passengers, especially with the coupe-like roof line. The most headroom in this vehicle is over the driver, and you can see that from the styling that we've shown you, and that makes it more driver focused, which is really what BMW is all about. This car isn't going to, well, CUV, whatever you want to call this vehicle, it is not going to be for everybody, but the all-wheel drive system, the power and the sportiness is going to really get into that BMW mindset, and it's going to be a car that BMW fans probably want to look at and test drive, especially if they want more room than your typical 3 Series, but maybe not as much room as an X5 or an X6. So, we'll have the real video, the real review coming up right here at Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew, right here from Real Auto Ranch. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave us comments, and make sure you come back for more videos, and we'll see you down the road.